Hi, I'm Joe Scruggs, and you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes alive. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Roll it!
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Join Jake and his friends on a journey through pop culture of the past, where they interview professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and so much more. Who will they be chatting with today? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Happy here with us. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm your host, Jake Duffenball. And today, as always, our co-host, Chris Bixby and Matt Bingle. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Great. Hi, everyone. How are you, Jake?
Doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking, as always.
Yes,
Excellent.
wonderful. We have quite the interview for you folks today. It's been a while since we've had a musical guest on. Jake, tell everyone about it.
Go for it.
Yes, thank you, guys. Today's guest we have for today is a recording artist and children's music performer. A lot of you may know him best as SteveSongs on PBS, and a lot more that we'll touch base for his music career later on, and many more. Steve Roslonek. Enjoy the chat. See you then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Today, we have with us the wonderful Steve Roslonek. Welcome. Happy to be here.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great. We're delighted
Doing
to
good.
have
Thank you. Thanks for asking. Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here. So thanks very much for being here. Really much appreciated. So to kick things off, we know who you are, but those who haven't, could you tell our audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Steve. Steve Roslonek, or Mr. Steve. I've been writing kids music for kids and families for 25 years now. Can't believe it. And for a good part of that, since 2007, I've been the music teacher host on PBS Kids, in between shows like Curious George and Cat in the Hat knows a lot about that, and Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, and so many other great PBS shows.
Nice, nice. So, what was your childhood like, and how did you grow up?
Oh, I had a pretty cool childhood. I was one of four boys in my family. I was the oldest. Actually, I still am the oldest. That's how that works. And we were very active. We were always playing sports. We had a lot of kids around the neighborhood, so we were playing games or climbing trees or riding bikes and all that kind of stuff. That was a pretty good. I grew up in a town called Wethersfield, Connecticut,
Nice,
and
Nice.
went all the way through high school there.
nice.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, did you always want to make music a career?
I always loved music, and I always connected. It was like something that was really important to me and how it made me feel and all that kind of stuff from a very early age. My mom was big into singing. She just loved to sing all the time, and I mostly liked it, except that we were like in the shopping in the supermarket, and she was like belting out Motown. I was like, oh, Mom, this is embarrassing. But I survived that, and I got into performing. I was in choirs and stuff, and in high school I started to sing a little bit more seriously, like doing solos and stuff like that in high school. And then in college, I got more serious about it, and joined an a cappella group, which was really super fun. And then for some college summers, I joined. I got a couple guys from my college. I went to Wesleyan University, by the way, and shout out to the Wesleyan Spirits. And that was my a cappella group. And a couple guys from the Spirits, and a couple guys from Skidmore Bandersnatchers and Conn College Kokobo got together to sing on Martha's Vineyard for a summer job. And so we were this group called the Vineyard Sound, which is actually still around now. We don't sing in it, but they replace it. They have new members each year, and it was a fantastic experience. And being able to sing every night and figuring out how to make a living as a musician. I learned a bunch of great performers and super funny guys. We all lived in the same house, and it was just we were like really serious about doing great music, but then also just having a lot of fun, performing and meeting people. And it was formative, I guess you could say.
Nice.
That's great. So I'm kind of curious, growing up, who were some of your biggest musical inspirations?
I see. When I was a kid, I used to love Schoolhouse Rock. Love it.
Oh yeah.
Every song, I was like, that is genius. And then the next song, like, that's also very genius. Sesame Street, the music at Sesame Street was so
amazing.
Great. Lyrically and musically. And I like James Taylor growing up. I liked just his affect and his songs and his voice. And I was like, Men at Work was when I started to buy my own albums. I remember a Men at Work album that I loved.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned your a cappella group earlier. How did that transition into making children's music as SteveSongs?
Oh yeah. Well, after that a cappella group, and after college, I went on to work a corporate job. I was a business and technology consultant for almost 5 years. And while I was doing that, I was writing songs for fun. And I was immediately like, they were the best songs that I ever wrote, the first 3 songs that I wrote for the first grade class. So I had a lot of fun, like, connecting with the kid inside of me, and I had written songs kind of as an outlet before that, and when I had like a purpose, my songs became better. It's like, I want to teach the days of the week or the seasons or gravity or whatever it was. It was like, it was neat to have a topic that I needed to teach and stick behind that subject matter lyrically for the song. And so it was that's when I started writing. But I would tell you, so then I decided to make a little demo recording, just for fun, for people that I knew, and a number of folks I knew were teachers. And so I gave it to them, and they were saying, "Oh, we bring in people to play music at our school. Would you ever do that kind of thing?" I was like, "Oh, people make money doing this thing that's really fun." I was like, "That's kind of neat." But I had a pretty serious job at the time, and I remember there was one weekend, after a few of these teacher folks had told me that they really liked the songs and they were using it in their classroom. I would be on some of these work projects where you'd work really late into the night, like 10 o'clock at night. And there was one project where it was a bunch of guys who were musicians, again, just for fun. And so we'd work till 10 o'clock at night, go back to somebody's apartment, play music for a few hours, and then go to work the next morning. And it was not a lot of sleep, but it was a lot of fun. And there was one night where all these guys were together, and we were saying, what would you do if you could do anything, if you didn't have this job, or you could go on? And some of the guys were talking about starting their own businesses. And like, I would really like to make kids music. And they're like, you definitely should do that. And I was like, all right. And so I kind of like that was like, I remember that being the moment where I was like, yeah, why not? I could do it. And so I went and talked to my boss at work, and he was like, no. It worked out well. I said, I'm thinking of leaving. He's like, oh, and I'm going to leave when this project ends. And he said, oh, we just sold a new project that we were hoping that you would head up. How about we do this? How about you work part-time on the project and get part-time, do your music thing, and then that would be your transition out. And I said, that would be good. And so it was very fortunate for me, because it allowed me some time to get my feet. It's you guys talk to a lot of kids musicians, and at the beginning,
right.
Especially it's hard for any musician to make a living, and so it's a lot of work, especially starting out before you can kind of get some traction.
Absolutely. So now your first kind of your first two albums as a children's artist were On a Flying Guitar and Morning Till Night. What went into making those albums?
Oh, you cut out for a second. I'm sorry.
So your first two albums as a children's artist were On a Flying Guitar and Morning Till Night. What went into
Yeah.
making those albums?
Yeah, well, Morning Till Night was the first one that we made, and I had a bunch of friends who were in an awesome band out in Amherst, Mass, and I saw two of the guys at a wedding, and this was just when I was deciding to leave work, and I asked them, I said, "Hey, would you want to help me make some songs for this kids album that I want to make?" And they said, "Sure thing." They said, "In fact, we have a room in our house that we're looking to sublet." And so I ended up moving in with them. They had a little studio in the basement. At that point, it was an ADAT recorder. They had the microphones and all that stuff. They were fantastic musicians, and so we set about putting my songs, recording them and making them into that album, Morning Till Night. And I just literally, speaking of nostalgia, I hadn't had those songs on Spotify, and I just put the songs from Morning Till Night on Spotify last week, and I made a little video just like 25, it's been 25 years since the release of that album. And so I'm finally getting around to putting them on songs on Spotify. But we had my friends and I connected about it, and it's funny how much we didn't know at that point about anything. We were debating whether a kid song could have a bridge in it or not, because we didn't really know. It was before the internet was really something that you could use to find out what was happening. And so like, I don't know, with a kid's song, can you do this? Can you do that? And so we just tried it and tried to make it the best music that we could. And also none of us had kids at the time, but we all remembered music that made us like happy to be a kid, things that were kind of interwoven into our childhood and who we were. And we wanted to make music that, I don't know, that kids would remember when they weren't kids anymore, and it could be a positive part of their lives.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we did that at their house, and then we mixed down nearby studio. It was a place that this awesome engineer worked at, and it was called the Slaughterhouse because it was in an old slaughterhouse. And for our album, he agreed to change the name of the studio to the Moo Moo House, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
And then for Flying Guitar, we went into a studio in Boston, where we had recorded my group, the Spirits from college, recorded our guitar album, and that was a whole nother different experience. It was just one step up in terms of production, and again, though, we just like kind of got in there and just tried things out, and really did, I must say, just had a lot of fun with the creative process.
Nice.
Wonderful. So I'm curious, do you have any favorite songs from your albums? Not just first two, but overall, any album.
Yeah, I guess so. There's a lot. I've now written probably 400 songs, I think. So it's hard to pick one. There's a song that I have called Song Without a Rhyme, which is on an album called The Orangutan Band. And that is particularly fun to play for an audience, because they keep on thinking I'm going to come up with a rhyme at the end of the line, and I never do. And I've been like, the song has evolved. Like, there's a few different songs that I kind of change through the years, and that song has evolved into like a whole new song because I continue to think of different joke lines for the song. So it's always interesting and fun. And we have another song called Brush, 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 which is very different. It's lyrically incredibly simple, and there's a game where you teach it to the audience, and they learn the song along with hand motions, and then you have to, the game is, you then start to take out certain phrases of words, but keep the hand motions. And then I just have the kids suggest different words that we take out, and it's always different because the suggestions are different. So it's a fun challenge for me, and I I always have fun with that one.
Wonderful.
That's great. So of course, you're best known for being the co-host of the PBS Kids morning block as Mr. Steve. How'd you kind of first got involved in that?
Well, originally when they started the block the first year, I think it was 2006 or 2005, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, around there, yeah.
Yeah, I got a call from an agent inviting me to this audition to be the host. And at that point, I was on vacation with my then girlfriend, and the agent was like, I was in Colorado, and I was like, can you come to New York in 2 days? I was like, oh, no, I can't, because I was going to be proposing to my wife, to my now wife, the next day. I was like, no, I can't go there. I'm so sorry. And he's like, well, there's going to be one more audition in LA next month. And so I said, all right, I can go out for that. And so I went out for that audition. But before that happened, in between the proposing, she said yes, by the way. And then me going out to LA for the audition, had so many big shows, and I got a little sick during the vacation, and then every show my voice got worse and worse and really hard. I had the worst laryngitis I had ever had.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
2 days before I was flying out to LA, and I had the biggest show. It was in Norwood, Mass. There's a big theater. I think it was, oh gosh, I can't quite remember. But it was a big theater, and there were 2 big shows. And I was like, I can't not sing these shows. And then I had to go out. And so anyway, I created a show. I had a whole band with me. I had these young singers who I made up, like, I had the kids sing my part for a bunch of things. And I I made these signs of words that I would like. So I tried to make a joke out of the fact that I couldn't really sing, and tried to sing as little as I could. Anyhow, I flew out there to LA and for the audition. And even though I could not sing at all, I think it went really well. I had a lot of fun with it, but I did not get the job. And so I went back home and continued on with my life. And then I was introduced to a graphic designer who worked for PBS, Gordon Harris, I did a birthday party for one of the producers of Arthur. And so I was connected with him. I sent him, I started making my own music videos, and I sent him some stuff, and he wrote back and said, oh, I love your stuff. Me and my daughters have been to your shows. They have your poster on your wall. And I've always thought it'd be fun to work with you. And I was reading this, I was like, awesome, this is great. I'm going to be on PBS. And he's like, we don't really need anybody for anything right now. So, but we'll keep you in mind. And then it was, I don't know how many months later, that they were looking to add 2 hosts, and actually had me come into the PBS headquarters down in DC. And I got to meet a number of the producers, and meet the head. Leslie Rotenberg was the head of children's media at the time. I went into her office, and I remember I went with my agent at the time, and I forget what, somehow she asked, could you play a song? And I was like, yeah, and I got my guitar, and then I made her do part of a dance with me. And I remember my agent was like, oh, bad idea. And so she was doing like this gravity dance with me. And I was like, I don't know if that went well or not, but she seemed to laugh and have fun with it. And I did get the job. So afterwards, my agent was like, oh, that was a good call. I didn't think it was, but it was really the great thing about, and this is, I actually did like a symposium, or a panel, and we were talking to a bunch of songwriters, and I was like, well, it was interesting that 1 year made a big difference for me in terms of auditioning for PBS, because it wasn't just singing the songs and performing, but it was also talking to people about your philosophy, why are you doing this job, and when for the first audition, when they asked me that question, I knew why. I felt like I knew why I was doing this job, but I didn't have it in words really, and so I kind of fumbled about that. I was like, I don't know. And then when I started to make my own music videos, for the DVD project, the director said, we should do like a little EPK and talk about why you're doing this. And so I actually had to think about the words and, and put those into like sentences that made sense for me. And that was right before I went out to audition the second time. And so when we were having lunch with the executives, they were asking, well, why do you do this? And I was like, wow, I can tell you exactly why I do this. And because I had it in words and why it was meaningful for me and my philosophy about not just entertaining, but educating. And that was really right in line with PBS and their mission. And so that was a big part of me getting the job, I think. And I tell you, that obviously is a humongous opportunity for me. But it was just a fantastic experience for me. All the people there at PBS Kids, just one after the next, just the kindest people, talented and motivated, not by like how much money they can make, but how they could prepare kids for school, how they could teach concepts to kids, and how they can enrich kids and families' lives. And I was like, I'm sold. I loved it. Going to the conferences, I would perform for all the the PBS member station heads, and everybody was like all about that message, that philosophy. So it was an awesome experience for me.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So on the subject of the show, what was it like working with the other hosts, Miss Lori and Miss Rosa?
Oh, I love Miss Rosa. I only got to meet Miss Lori once because we didn't overlap. I think we overlapped 1 year, but we didn't do any events together. I think we were in the studio one time. She was lovely. I didn't really know her that well, but isn't she great? I mean, we did a whole bunch of events, whether it was filming promos, but we started doing, after the second year, we started doing a lot more live events at different member stations across the country. And she's just a super talented person and just a great, a great partner to be, working with.
That's wonderful.
I have, I found this, we were talking about nostalgia. I have the Miss Rosa and Hooper, we have this from one of the years.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
That's cool.
And then we were both with Hooper.
Really?
And it's like this cube that like opens up and you can like make it into different things.
Oh, kind of like a Rubik's Cube in a way.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
A little bit easier. Like I can actually do it.
Right.
But I'll wait till later to figure it out.
That's cool though. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to have.
absolutely. So now similarly with your albums, do you have any favorite songs that you got to do for PBS? Because there were a lot of great ones on there too.
Yeah. I think probably, let's see. Yeah. There's a song, I have a dog and his name is, so we would get I would get an assignment to write 10 to 15 songs per session or season. And sometimes it was kind of open-ended, like write songs by exploring, or sometimes it's pretty specific, write a song. Can you write a song about pets or write a song about art? And so then the pet song is a fun one. Again, it's kind of I like clever wordplay if you can use it in a song. And that one, it's like, and that's another one that we just did a big show out in Wisconsin, and we played that song. And basically it's about my pets who can talk. I have a dog and his name is Art. He likes to answer questions, and I have to say he's pretty smart. I asked him, what do you call the thing on top of a house? And he said, roof. And so that goes on with a number of different animals. My favorite one up until last month was I have a bird named Tweedledee. She loves to answer riddles like this one. Why did the chicken cross the kitchen?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
To eat. And then there's one with a goat at the end, and the goat, and I asked the goat, don't you think this song is funny? And the goat says, nah. That's supposed to be the answer. That's supposed to be the answer. Guy plays with me and my producer. He's like, what's so funny? I was like, it'd be funny if the goat said, nah, I've heard better. And, and he's like, I guess that's all right. And so I did it during the show. I did that, and there was a family. There was a number of people that were laughing, but there's one family that this guy fell on the floor because he was laughing so hard. I think he heard the other version. I was like, thank you so much, sir. And I said, honestly, that's so funny. And it actually made me laugh because it was different than it had been. But yeah.
Wonderful.
All the other animals were making actual animal sounds, and then this final animal was actually
Right.
better.
Yeah.
Perfect diction. That goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like that one. We have a shape song that was very popular. We made it into a book, and it was that went through a few different iterations, and it was a really great exercise as a songwriter to be given such specific criteria. Each song had to be exactly 59 seconds. Had to explain a certain topic. Had to had to be accessible to every man or the every person. And so it was a very interesting and fun challenge.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah, that's right. I love Took a Train.
Oh, thank you. My wife, that's my wife's favorite song. The bridge of that she really likes.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. A Discovery and Catch It.
Oh, yeah. I like Touch It. And just got, yeah. So those are musically, I think, really nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are wonderful ones.
You're very welcome, Steve.
I appreciate it. Hey, can I ask you guys? I know this is not what they do in interviews, sorry, but if it's all right, how did you guys get together to do this? Like, are you guys buds from school or something?
No, we've
it's funny. It's funny. Like there are times where guests like kind of ask us that same question, so no worries at all.
Okay, all right.
That's okay. Yeah, we met online. Jake and I have known each other for several years now, and well, Jake, why don't you start it off? Because you kind of obviously came up with the original idea.
Yeah. I'm Matt. He'll join back in a little bit. Just 3 seconds. So yeah. So kind of what happened is, I mean, I've been good friends with. I mean, I know Chris for already like a few years, and that time before the show's even started, and which the show is now we're doing this for like 3 years now, and Nick Jr. and then all those other that I got to watch growing up, and and I just kind of have that idea, what if I can make a start like a kind of nostalgic related podcast, and then I kind of started, and I caught Jake's Hype and Saw show. That's kind of what my idea, and then Chris was what started with me, and then Matt, he comes a little bit later when the show kind of started kick off, and then ever since, three of us, we've been doing this for 3 years, and we've done the show for over 200 episodes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's almost unheard of.
That is awesome. I've seen a number of your episodes. And so how did you know that each one of you liked all this stuff? Like you shared this interest? Is that how you got connected?
Pretty much, yeah. We all kind of have, similar childhoods, and as like we watched a lot of the same stuff like you did. We of course grew up with Sesame Street and things like that, and
Yep. Awesome. Well, congratulations, guys. It's great to be able to find something that you like and you can kind of sink your teeth into and make, like you guys are making stuff. And like I said, I told you earlier that Ralph Covert interview, I learned a lot.
Yeah, no, Ralph's solid.
Thank you.
Ralph's awesome.
Ralph's great.
He's great friend of ours.
Yeah,
he's the best.
A lot of them we've come pretty close with over the years. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you, Steve, for that. I really much appreciate it.
Yes.
So of course, from you record songs, aside from, of course, recording albums, and to also perform live. But what was the live aspect like compared to the recording aspect?
Yeah. I at this point I think of them, they're pretty similar. And it's because a lot of the most important part of the writing, the performing, the recording is connection. And at shows, it's really obviously it's visually you're connecting with an audience right there. And I think of like the front of the stage as like this point where all of this energy connects between the band and then all of the audience members um, and then recording it's obviously different, but you have to imagine that you're making something to share with a listening audience and connecting with them. I would say that one of the things that is definitely different, and it's nice because I kind of think about, we have a lot of different types of songs, a lot of different musical styles, which is pretty neat. But I've kind of put my songs into two categories. There's some that are really interactive and more simple, so that's just really easy to be interactive, and then other ones that are musically much more complicated or nuanced and more like more what you might hear for a grown-up song, but just with kid content. And so with the albums, you can really lean into and recording, you can lean into that, making it sonically what you want it to be: pleasant, sonically interesting, musically and lyrically interesting. And then in the live shows, I learned very early on that I remember because I had written all the songs for Morning Till Night, and we recorded the whole album without me ever playing a song for kids other than the kids that my mom babysat, and just a few kids here and there. And it wasn't until after that some people asked me to come to a preschool and play the songs, and when I did, I realized that after my first visit, I was like, oh my gosh, I need more interactive songs. And that was really good lesson, and it was super inspirational because like it gave me all these great ideas. I've gotten so many great ideas from kids and just audiences over the years, but it forced me in a good way to write songs or to find ways of making songs super interactive. And so at this point, and I might like some of my favorite shows, we just did a show at a fair in Connecticut just last weekend, and aside from the very first song, every song was super interactive. The audience is doing stuff. There's games to play or sing along or dancing things. And at this point in my career, it feels like, oh, they're not forced. It's not like a square peg in a round hole. It's not like making an interactive thing out of something that really shouldn't be. They feel like that feels like what it should be. It's really interactive, and it feels like I say like a Pete Seeger concert. It's like this communal experience where like the audience is quite involved in making the show. And so I don't know if that answers your question. Those are
That's wonderful.
the differences. And I love both elements. I love the writing of the music, the creative process, but then actually performing it with an audience and having them be connected with it is like nothing else.
Right.
Television television was a much harder, different leap for me. I found it
I bet
tricky to connect to like a metal, I don't know, like
but actually see the kids, and parents and all that. Yeah.
Totally. It took me a while to really feel comfortable, like, oh, I'm speaking to a person, even though there's no person right there. And so
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Certainly is a weird feeling, compared to TV, to like a live audience, like performing a song live. You get that reaction like right away, and that's the beauty of doing songs or even theater live. You get that reaction right away compared to like TV, maybe months. Even a year up to. It's an interesting concept. So, on the subject of live performances, what are some of your fondest and most favorite fan reactions you've received over the years?
Um, Well, I love, with all the PBS station member station visits and shows, we always do a concert and then have a meet and greet afterwards. So it wasn't just the interaction across the stage, but it was also one-on-one with a lot of kids. And I would get into like exchanging jokes with kids, and they always crack me up. And it's like, I feel like I'm very lucky to be able to do the meet and greet. It's almost like, obviously you need money to live, so I gotta, make a living with it, but it's like you're feeling like you're getting paid in hugs and just happiness and just really funny, amusing things that kids will say. And so I love that kind of stuff. I think there was there's one show. This is we did an event at the a couple of years. I was able to go to the White House, the Easter egg event that they have there.
Oh, yes.
And it's a really awesome event. And the first year that we were there, the Jonas Brothers, we played, and then the Jonas Brothers, who I don't know, like the Jonas Brothers were humongous at the time.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then
absolutely no.
Finished there was one. In the afternoon, there was a group of teenage girls who got there really early to see the Jonas Brothers, but we went on that was the morning. Yeah. So they were waiting there right at the front of the stage, and we were going on first, and they're like, when are the Jonas Brothers coming out? And sound checking. And I am really happy that we won them over over the course of the 30-minute set. By the end, they were doing like the dance along stuff, and they were having fun. And in that same day, later on, at the end of our last show, we went out and did a meet and greet with people. And then there's this mother and a probably 3-year-old son. She's like, "Can you do me a favor? We came late and we saw we were trying to see the Jonas Brothers, and we came in and your show was going on. And I told my son that you were the Jonas Brothers. Can you say hi to him?" I was like, I can say hi to him.
Oh man. Oh, that's wild.
So wow. I signed a little thing for him. Like, I'm so glad you like Jonas Brother music. And I said, I'm not going to sign it, Nick Jonas. I'm going to sign it myself. But I can be honest. Right. It was nice to see you. I'm happy that you were here.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
And I was like, and the duck says, "Dad," like that didn't give it away to him. No, all right, yeah.
Oh my
god.
There's one more story if I can. There's a lot. I used to do like a quote of the month in my newsletter many years ago because there's always funny things that kids say. There's one time, oh my gosh, I have to piece it together. It cracked me up. I was at a school and doing an assembly, and it was so I played for the older kids, and then I had a group of preschoolers, and so I played, and then at the end I said, okay, we have a couple minutes if you have any questions for me. And I did this with the older kids, and they had questions about songwriting or playing on PBS or all this stuff. And then with the younger kids, the first, does anybody have a question for me? It's like a kid raise your hand. My sister plays the piano. And I was like, or my sister plays the guitar. That's right. And then I was like, oh, that's so neat. And then somebody else, oh, my brother plays the piano. And I was like, oh, that's great. I was like, does anybody else have a question for me? And then another kid raised his hand. Yes. My shoelaces are purple. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then it continued on. I said, okay, so we have a little bit more time. A question is something that we say when we want to get information. Usually starts with like the word why or how or do or something like that. So does anybody think that they have a question for me that you would want me to answer? And then one kid raised their hand and said, yes. Do you know that my brother plays piano too? That is a good question. I did not know that. There's so many times like you can't make it up.
Oh my god!
I know, yeah, you can't make things like that up. Yeah.
no.
So
And you know what? And you know what's like? It's really just funny, I think, but it also is like so heartwarming because it's like and that's what I love about performing for kids anyway. It's just the sense of wonder and this like they're just like the boldness is really bold. The sheepishness is really there's nothing that's hidden. It's just like you're just seeing a person in their emotions, like the way that they are. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine like going
Yeah.
back with that Jonas Brothers story. The like, imagine like, imagine like, hey, Jonas Brothers, those two want to see you.
yeah,
Imagine
know,
that.
I was
Imagine
like
that
that, yeah.
would have happened.
I wonder what at what point that kid ever found out. Like he's got a picture of me, and like when he turned like 6, he's like, wait a second.
That's
That's not Joe or Nick
That's
or
not
Kevin.
Nick.
That's not the Jonas Brothers. Yeah.
right.
I think probably that kid must have been like a, I don't know, like a at least a teenager.
Yeah,
And probably that kid,
Yeah.
that back then were like, why I think it was.
Why did I
that?
think
Why did I
he
think
was
it was Jonas Brothers back there? What
He's
the
like
heck?
that tricky Steve songs.
So
That's great.
another appearance you've done was National Book Fest, where you
Yes.
collaborated with Elmo from Sesame Street and Cleo from Between the Lions.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I love that event. We I forget how many years we did that, probably 8 years, and every year it was just it was so enjoyable for a lot of different reasons. Meeting some of those, like Peter Linz, you guys interviewed.
Peter.
Yes,
Oh,
Peter
he's
Linz,
great. He's
Like,
wonderful.
I mean, I don't know, like, is there a nicer person?
No,
I know.
I don't think so.
Exactly.
So nice.
Right.
You know, and you know, just and it was about the time where my kids were the perfect PBS Kids age, 3 and 5. They love seeing the walk around. I've been at a lot of events, and I think it's not an easy thing to do, to organize something and be working so hard, but still be so relaxed that you make everybody around you relax. And so that's a sign of a great organizer in that sense. And so that's what it just had, this very chill vibe. But you have these like kind of some big stars up there, and I really had fun. I just love writing songs, and so I would, after like the 3rd year, they asked if I would introduce the different authors who were going to come and read, and sometimes it was Julianne Moore, or it was Mo Willem, or whatever. There's a bunch of different authors, different years, and so I would write a little song about the book that they were, like, about them and the book, just like a 10-15 second thing, you know. And it was really fun for me, and it just like kind of like helped me connect to the event, and then, you know, make them feel like it wasn't just like, hey, here's another person. So they like, oh, this person put a little bit of effort into this introduction. So I don't know, that those parts were really fun. It was always like a great audience who were just like so excited to see you. They're like, yes, and they knew all the PBS Kids songs, and so it was great.
That's awesome.
I know. And of course, I know you got to also meet the amazing Jen Barnhart and Kevin Clash.
Oh, they're
Yes.
both amazing.
Yeah, again, like, yeah, wonderful people. Yeah, and funny,
And,
so funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Great.
Oh my gosh, what Kevin's done with Elmo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The Ricky Gervais.
Yes,
yes.
yes. Oh, it's so funny.
I've laughed at
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that one. Love
Yeah.
that sketch.
So funny.
No, that's a lullaby. Ricky Gervais, too loud, too loud.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Chris Knowings and Roscoe Orman too.
Yes. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, you can make it right.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you got to
Absolutely.
meet them.
Great
We
people.
should have taken more
Yeah.
pictures, but I realized that back in the day, you know, it was such a whirlwind when I had young kids, that, and also it wasn't as easy, I think, to take pictures as it is these days, but it would have been great to have a little bit more you think you'll remember everything so well.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Very true. So you've also brought your music to various schools and libraries in your home state. Could you kind of talk about doing that? 'Cause, I mean, it's the live performance stuff going back to it, but what's it like doing, these at schools and libraries?
It's at this point probably one of my favorite things to do now. I when I started playing music for kids, I was up in Arlington, Mass. And I play anywhere, preschools, birthday parties, libraries, and schools. I started getting into more playing at schools. I always liked it very much because you had kids that are all the same age, so you kind of knew going in what songs that you could play that would work, and you could create a program around what you expected. Like at a live show, it's like, oh, you don't know if it's going to be 3-year-olds or 13-year-olds, and so anyway, but then when I got really busy with visiting PBS member stations and performing arts centers across the country, I was doing a lot fewer schools. Then COVID hit and it kind of put all performing on hold. I changed careers slightly for a little while. I became a coach for my high school soccer team.
Oh,
And I was just helping out the first year during COVID because I wasn't doing any shows. And then the head coach left. And so I became the head coach for 3 years of the soccer team. And it was really, it was awesome for me. I never thought I'd have a chance to be able to do that with my performance, but it was great. And so I just gave that up. I literally just coached my last session last week. And so I'm actually pretty psyched to kind of get back into I've been performing, but just a little bit here and there. And I've been doing a lot of schools, more schools than live public shows. And I was reminded just in these last 2 years how wonderful it is to go and play at a school. What I've been doing a lot of is songwriting. So I'll do an assembly for K through, I'll do songwriting with like 4th grade, 5th grade, sometimes 3rd, sometimes 6th grade. I'll go into each classroom and we'll pick a topic that they're learning about and we'll write a song about it in 45 minutes or an hour. And we do that with all of the 4th grade, and then we do a big assembly for the whole school. And then the 4th grade gets to share the songs that they wrote, and I play some of my songs. So it's, for everyone. And it really is, it's so rewarding and it's really fun. I love to do the assemblies, but that's pretty predictable, even though kids can be unpredictable. But with the songwriting, I never know what it's going to be, but it always ends. And I've gotten better at having the kids actually write the music, pick out notes, and we talk about melody, and I think I love it. It's really fun for me. But I think about myself as a 4th grader, and I remember back in 4th grade, I had a buddy who sang me, he said, I wrote this song, and he sang it for me, and he's like, that's all I know, or that's all I have so far. And I went home and I started writing the verse to the song, and then I said to my mom, I'm writing this, we're writing a song. This is like so cool. And the next day I'm in the car and I hear that song on the radio and I'm like, oh, he was joking. Like he didn't really write this song. This is actually a song that exists. And I was like, and I think it was what was it called? What was it? And now, music growing, blood runs through my instrument, and it's a Dan Fogelberg song. Anyhow, the point being that one day before, I was like, I had this awakening, this awareness that, oh, songs aren't just written by magical people that can do it. Like I could write a song. And then the very next day when I heard the song, I was like, oh, I can't write a song, even though I just did. Like kids can be, you don't know how the mind's going to work. And what I love about going into schools and doing songwriting workshops is like, at the very least, you all now know that you can write a song. It might not be the thing that you choose to do all the time,
Right.
but you at least know that you can do it. Right? Yeah. That was a long story to get around to the little
That's
lesson.
okay. That's a
That's all good.
wonderful
That's
answer.
wonderful. Yes, absolutely. So, since we're getting close to wrap things up very soon, can you share anything that you're currently working on? Any projects or?
Yeah, well, I have so I haven't released a new album in 10 years, which is crazy because I used to do it like every year or two. But I have so many new songs that I've started recording. We're going to release an album, but I just got kind of reconnected with Spotify. And I've had my songs on there for a while, but I didn't really even remember that I did. And my son is a teenager, and he's like, "Dad, you got like, I don't know, you got 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify." I'm like, "Really? Oh, that 10 years has been dramatic. Like nobody buys CDs anymore, obviously." And so, but anyway, so Spotify is a way of getting your music out there and connecting with audiences. And so I've been just getting, like I told you, I finally got my first album on there. I've been putting a number of songs in my catalog that haven't been on Apple Music or Spotify out there, and kind of in preparation for these new songs that I'm doing. So we'll be releasing new songs one by one over the next, probably 6 months or so. So that's really exciting. And then I have this YouTube channel that I started during COVID that, long story, but it teaches piano in like the easiest way to play piano. I taught my daughter how to play piano, and I am not a piano player, but I figured out the simplest way to play songs in 3-note chords. And I started making these videos on YouTube to show how. And so that's been connecting with a lot of people learning how to play piano, and that's been fun. So I don't do that very often, but like once every few months I'll do a new song. I just teach in 3-note chords how to play "Let It Be" by the Beatles, or a song, any number of songs. So that I would like to spend more time on that, but it's an ongoing thing. And those are kind of the, I don't know, big stuff, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah,
There's
we're gonna be
nice
playing in Hawaii
wonderful.
again.
Looking forward for more of these.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Oh wow.
Nice. So to wrap this
That's
up, this
cool.
podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of, or how would you define nostalgia?
Well, nostalgia is it's really the thing that we were trying to create from the very beginning. I think I was telling you, with the guys, my friends in the band, who didn't have any kids but wanted to make music that would mean something to kids and be a part of their lives, not just for 1 year, but something that they could remember fondly. I think we never use the word nostalgia, I don't, at the time, but that's the thing that we were trying to create. And there's this, like, the music industry, and any industry, like there's this capitalism thing where everything is worth a certain amount of money, or like, but there's so much worth that's beyond dollars and beyond cents, and that nostalgia is like this thing that just shows you the worth of memories. And I think that it's one of the more important things that we hold with us.
Absolutely agree with Sundon. Well, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is a blast.
Oh, it was really fun for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. And thank you so much for what you've done over the years in the music industry. I mean, of course, the three of us got to, grew up watching your work, and I remember, of course, three of us got to watch it finally, as always. And for your interest to be on here, it means a lot. And keep up the good work. We're excited for that.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. All right. Bye,
You're
Steve.
welcome.
This was fun.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again, Steve. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great one.
you.
You too. Bye-bye.
You too. See ya.
It's goodbye from us as well. We absolutely enjoyed our time speaking with the wonderful Steve Roslonek, also known as SteveSongs. Links to his website and his social media will be in the description down below for anyone who wants to connect with him or check out his work. But it's goodbye from us as well. Keep on the lookout for more wonderful interviews coming your way. As always, what do we say, Jake?
Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
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 Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode. Be sure to follow Jake and the Happy Nostalgia team on social media, check out our website, and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.